Hi everyone, Des Adams with just following on from Think and Grow Rich. I've picked up this book on how to change your life by From Thought to Action by Anthony Kidman. It's quite an interesting little book, and I've opened up on the section on assertiveness training, and this is something I had problems with when, as in my 20s, people kept on saying to me that, I don't feel you're assertive enough. So it led to me to do quite a bit of research on the topic. And Anthony mentions here that as assertive behaviour is interpersonal behaviour involving the honest and relatively straightforward expression of thoughts and feelings. And at the time, in my 20s, I wasn't really doing that. There was something holding me back in terms of assertiveness. And reading this book again brings back some of those thoughts. Assertive behaviour communicates feelings, beliefs, and needs directly and clearly. And also, non-assertive behaviour implies that you allow the needs of others to override your own needs. It includes agreeing with the opinions of others because you are fearful or want to please them. And I think this was the transition stage that I was going through. I was tending to say things to please others rather than genuinely follow through. And aggressive behaviour, of course, is the expression of needs and demands at the expense of others, and we certainly want to try and avoid aggressive behaviour. So what are the components of assertive behaviour? And Anthony mentions these following ones. Eye contact. Looking directly at another person when speaking to them is a good way of letting them know that you are sincere in what you are saying. When I was teaching, I joined an organisation called JC's, and that was a significant impact on my life. It was in a small country town, and I was staggered at the depth. Some of the farmers there, working on the land, they had incredible public speaking skills, that they had the confidence, and I think a lot of them practice their speeches when they're on the tractor, out working the fields and planting, and their eye contact was really, really good. Body posture, the significance of your message to others will be increased if you face the person, sit or stand appropriately close, with not invading people's space. And gesture, a message accentuated with appropriate gestures takes on added emphasis. Suitable facial expressions are also important. And the voice, tone, inflection and volume. Now this is something I did have a problem with. I tended to sort of, how can I put it? Like a monotone. You need a whispered monotone will seldom convince another person that you mean business. And part of the training in JCs at the time was public speaking, where you got up and presented, and everyone had to present themselves at a particular meeting, and I found that was really, really beneficial. A level, well-modulated statement is convincing without being intimidating. And the fifth one is timing. Spontaneous expression of feelings would be preferable, but judgment is needed to select an appropriate occasion. And he mentions the example here, and this goes back to my school days. When I was reading this, how many times in a classroom would a teacher berate a student in front of everyone else, and it made you feel so inferior. And I think particularly in a work situation, if you have to confront someone, it's much better to do it privately rather than in front of a group of peers, because pulling people down in front of a group is one of the worst possible things you can do to a person. The sixth one Anthony mentions is content. Although what is said is clearly important, it is not as important as many people believe. How, when and where the words are said are crucial. And he mentions here in the example, "You silly fool, you forgot to give me that message," said in a snarling, demeaning tone with angry looks, compared with the same words said in a neutral tone with a calm appearance may modify the same information but produce an enormous difference in reaction. So expressing needs and feelings, how do you pay a compliment or express affection? How do you receive a compliment or expressions of affection from others? And he says here, assertive training teaches people to express their emotions to others as spontaneously and as honestly as they can, especially their positive feelings. And we often assume that people understand our appreciation of their efforts or our affection for them. Unfortunately, signals and message are often confused or blurred. And it's important to state and restate the good things that we think about others, particularly in a family situation. And it's equally important to express negative feelings using and he mentions here, the I statements. Brooding about the behaviour of others, and it mentions here the example of, someone on a Sunday morning when you want to sleep in, someone's making an incredible noise. Rather than aggressively approaching them, the important point here is you'd approach the neighbour in a friendly manner and tell him clearly that the noise of the chainsaw at that time of day is causing some problems as you usually sleep in. You could then suggest that perhaps this work could be done later in the morning or at some more appropriate time, or that it could be done further away from your bedroom window. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a good example of taking other people into consideration. So rather than serving your neighbour with an ultimatum that unless he stops the noise you will call the police, a number of alternatives are presented. There is always the possibility, generally remote, that the person will be unreceptive, rude and ignore you. Again, using appropriate self-talk first, you can state your position clearly and that further action will be taken either by approaching the local council or the police to try to resolve the problem. This is known as escalation, so you certainly wouldn't want to take that approach. So the important issue here in resolving this sort of situation is how the information is conveyed. Words are symbols, and it is our interpretation of these verbal signals that will determine our reactions. So also it's important to express negative feelings using the I statement. And he gives some examples here. I can see that you put a lot of effort into preparing this report so it could be clearly understood by every member of the department. I appreciate your efforts. That's a lovely way of putting it in a group situation. Or another example, I just wanted to tell you how much your encouragement has meant to me. It has helped me to feel more confident of myself. I am doing things I wouldn't have dreamt of last year. Thank you very much. I love you. Another example, when I hear you laugh, it makes me feel good. So all very positive things to help in assertiveness, because it is a very, very important part of developing and learning in the way in which you interact with people. So yeah, thoughts of assertiveness, we'll continue those on in the next video I do, and I hope that gives you some good tips on thoughts and actions to change your life. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.